HiveMind, and this is set number 75323, the Justifier from the LEGO Star Wars theme. This set contains 1,022 pieces, 4 minifigures, and will retail for $169.99 in the US. This set does not come out until August 1st, 2022, but it was sent to me early by the LEGO group through the LEGO Ambassador Network, but all opinions expressed in this video are my own. Before I get started, I'd just like to ask you guys to please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new. I'm doing early reviews of a ton of these summer 2022 LEGO Star Wars sets, as well as some other really exciting stuff in a few weeks, so if you're interested in any of that, by liking and subscribing it'll help put it in your feed as soon as it's posted, and also really help support me in the channel. But with all that being said, let's get on to the review. So here is the Justifier itself, and before I get started, full disclosure, I have not seen the Bad Batch show, so I'm just going to be reviewing this as a LEGO set and not in terms of its translation of the actual vehicle from the show into a LEGO set. I feel like I'm saying that in a lot of these reviews. It's just LEGO's doing a lot of these prequels and Clone Wars and Bad Batch sets, and I'm mostly an original trilogy guy myself. Original trilogy I'm completely good with, but this kind of stuff I'm just not as familiar with. But I still think it's valuable for me to cover these sets, because I could still take a look at them as just LEGO sets, and not necessarily translations of the vehicles from the show. So with all that being said, let's take a look at the Justifier. So right off the bat, the box art for this set feels very deceptive, both in bad ways and in good. It's deceptive in a good way, and this set is so much bigger than I was expecting. Like, it is absolutely massive. You can see my hands right here. Like, this thing is gigantic. It helps me kind of understand the price of it. The price is still absurd. Like, considering the Millennium Falcon is cheaper than this is not as big as, like, a Millennium Falcon. But it does make the price seem a little less crazy, knowing how massive it actually is in hand. However, it's deceptive in a bad way in that they don't really show you this angle of the ship. This is where all the Technic pieces that control the transformation feature at the back is kept, and it's just huge and open in the center. And I know sometimes transformation features are going to show, and that's okay, but this really takes up so much space and there's no attempt to cover it up at all, so I can't say I'm the biggest fan of that. Really wish there was just something that went over top of that, or anything just to make it look a little nicer. Because yeah, that being gappy at the bottom there, I don't know, personally I'm not the biggest fan. Now the transformation feature on this set is very cool. You can see it's got like this big tower in the back, and when it's in its flight mode that should be up. However, when it's landed, that should be back down on the ground, and there's a very smooth way for you to change this. You just pull back down on it, and there it goes. That's the ship in its landed mode, and I don't think this looks nearly as good. However, it is still an option you have. But the coolest part about this transformation is that's not all of it. You see, when you move this piece up or down, that actually moves the landing gear underneath the front of the ship. So when that back section is down, you can see those little landing pads that come down. Now I think that is very impressive and very fun. However, that transformation is the entire reason that back area is so open. You see those huge Technic pieces. So while it is a very unique play feature, it's something that's overall not very noticeable if you're not actively looking for it, and I don't know if that was worth taking away from the appearance of the back of the ship. But I do like that play feature overall. It's just a question of, was that trade-off worth it? But now coming to the actual aesthetics of the ship, here is what the windshield looks like from the front. You can see it's got these big clear stickers on it. Clear stickers are always a mixed bag. Never been a huge fan of them, but obviously you can always take them off. Would have been nice if they were printed though. As well as these big flat stickers on the side just add a little bit of detail. Same thing on the other side. And then slightly above that we have more stickers on these black pieces. And they just show some like chipped metal and whatnot. This entire like roof section can be removed, and this is how you get access into the interior. And there's not a ton of interior space, but there's a decent amount. You can see there's a really cool chair design for Cad Bane to sit in. There's 2 crates in the back. One is a thermal detonator, and the second one has a lightsaber hilt and another thermal detonator. There's 2 tan clips right here where I guess you can attach Cad Bane's accessories while he's driving the ship. And here's what it looks like in front of his seat. You can see there's 2 printed console pieces, and there's another look at the actual seat itself up close. Behind that main interior area, there's this huge trans red piece, and there's a little more space behind that. This is supposed to be the holding cell for Omega, so you could place her or any other minifigure in there. And then there's this little side build in the set which has some credits on it, and if you want you can place that on top of the cell. It slides right in, and then close the entire top of the ship back up. So yeah, you can fit a couple characters in there, but there's not a ton of interior space. So while more would have been cool, especially with how big this ship is, I don't think it's terrible. There's enough room for Cad Bane to sit, 1 or 2 more figures to like sit as passengers, and then room for characters to be prisoners in the back. Hey, real quick addition in editing, there's actually a little hatch underneath the ship that I completely missed. It's really just hidden away with how big the wings are. So like when this is on the ground, it's pretty hard to get to and notice. You can access it by going in through the Technic pieces on the back, or like I had it a moment ago where I'm just holding it up. But if you open that up, there's actually a bit more interior inside than I expected. Now you do have to be aware the Technic transformation feature does cut into this space a little bit. So for example, when this is in its landed mode, you can see that Technic comes down from the roof a bit. However, that's another place where we can store the side build in the set. It just slides right in there. You can close it back up. And there's also room for probably 1, 2, maybe 3 figures if you want. So while it's not comfortable interior space, it is still more interior space, which I do appreciate. There's just not any upper roof to most of it, like it's this space down here. Alright, now back to the pre-recorded footage. And then coming to the rest of the ship, it's mostly just aesthetics other than that. Really not many play features or anything. With the wings on the side, I really love how they did these angles, and the top parts of the wings can actually be hinged up. And inside here, this is where you store extra spring-loaded shooter bolts, and that's because, of course, on the side there is a spring-loaded shooter, which, of course, you can push back on, and it'll shoot out. There's little thrusters with these trans blue pieces coming out the backs of the wings, all the way down to the spring-loaded shooter bolt on the inside. And then once again, you have those imaginary blasters here and here, and then the actual spring-loaded shooter right here. Moving back by the wings, I like the depth used here, how this black's a little bit inset from the gray. There's some cool angles used on top of the wings. I especially like where they place this piece. It feels like it connects really well, but it's very unconventional for LEGO. And there's a bit of like mechanical greebling right here, which I think looks pretty good. Once again, same exact thing for all that on the other side. And then we get to the big thruster at the very back, which is a part of the transformation feature. Now this one uses a very interesting building technique. You can see it's got these tile pieces on their sides. I posted a picture of the instructions for this on my Instagram just because I was so confused by it. And this is a technique that like I knew LEGO was able to do, but I've never seen them actually do an official set before. This feels very much like a mock technique, so it feels weird to see it in an official set. But yeah, these tiles are all just slid in between studs. And it's strange, but you know what? It's effective for what it's going for. I was just sort of shocked to see it. A few people were saying that this is an illegal technique. I don't believe it actually is. It's only illegal if you're trying to stack plates in this way, but we're not using plates, we're using tiles, so I think tiles are alright. But yeah, very strange building technique. Not sure what they were thinking with this one, and like why they haven't used this in like any other sets before, but I guess it works, so I'm not complaining, and it's still like very sturdy and everything, so yeah, okay. Now I'm going to transform this part just so you can see it all a little bit better. You can see there is a little landing pad on the back to match with the ones on the front, so when it's in its landed mode it has 1 at the back and then 4 at the front. There's some nice looking angles and whatnot on the sides, and then you have these huge trans blue thrusters out the back with like the BB-8 heads on top, and I think these look really good, and it all comes together really nicely. Here's a look at the underside of the ship if you're curious, and yeah, I think that's about it for the main build of the Justifier. It is really big. Like, I want to make sure you guys are clear that this is a quite big ship, but most of it is in, like, the visual look of it. There's not a ton to show in terms of play features and everything. It's just big, gray, angled pieces, and an entire technic system to deal with the transformation at the back. But of course, that's not everything in this set, so now let's take a look at the one side build, and then the minifigures, and then I will give you my overall thoughts. Here's the only actual side build in this set, and this is what you saw me put on top of Omega's cage. And you can see there's just some stickers to represent some credits, and then also there's like this little golden guy, and this little green build. Not sure exactly what these are. If anybody knows exactly, please let me know in the comments. But I think they're just supposed to be like valuables collected in bounty hunting missions. But yeah, I mean, these stickered credit pieces are cool, but there's not much else to this build. Here are the first 2 minifigures in this set. We have Hunter and we have Omega. Hunter is not new for this set, but Omega is, and Omega is a really good minifigure. Even though, like, I'm not familiar with the Bad Batch, I'm not familiar with this character, I can acknowledge that she is really well done, especially for a short-legged figure. Like, there's usually not much you could do with them because, like, obviously they're limited in their printing. And while she is, like, on the simpler side, I think their overall color combination and everything looks really good. She was surprisingly given arm printing, which I appreciate. It's only a small bit, just this little bit of red at the top, and then a little bit more at the wrist, but it does look really nice. And in my opinion, really ties this figure together. Turning around with the handcuffs removed there, you can see the full torso print, and there's like the other arm print, which is identical. She uses the young Harry Potter hairpiece in blonde, and that is a very cool recolor for that part. It's a really good hairpiece in general, but we don't see it used too often. In fact, I'm not sure if it's ever been used outside of Harry Potter himself, so I'm really glad we finally got it recolored, and it works great for her. And then in terms of her face print, I believe this one is all new for this set, and I think it works well. She's just got somewhat of a neutral smile on this side, and then on the other side of her face, she looks a little annoyed. Yeah, all around, very solid figure, and even though I'm not familiar with the show, it's one I'm happy to get. And I know she was a character a lot of Bad Batch fans were wanting, so it's exciting to see that she does finally come in a set. And then Hunter is not new, but it is personally my first time getting him, and I have to say, he is a really good figure. I love the overall gunmetal gray color scheme that makes him look like very fancy, very elegant, and then the dark red and like gray and silver and everything on top of it. It all comes together to create a really nice looking minifigure. I especially love all the metallic printing, but the dark red is that perfect splash of color. And then you can see in terms of his accessory, he comes with a knife, and there's like this back torso print, and then taking his helmet off, There's like his face print. He's got somewhat of a standard clone face, but obviously he has these face markings on one side, and then a bandana around his head. He also does come with an alternate hairpiece if we want to display him without his helmet, and there's how that looks. So yeah, overall, two fairly good figures. And then the next two figures in the set are Fennec Shand and Cad Bane. This is the same Fennec Shand minifigure that has been used in The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. However, just like Hunter, this is personally my first time getting this figure, and while I may not have watched Bad Batch, I am a pretty big fan of The Mandalorian, so I'm super happy to get this figure. And I have to say, it is really good. Her helmet's super cool. I especially love how her eyes can peek through and you can actually see them. Like, it's a very thin slit right there, but it's really effective in, like, conveying her appearance from the show. I think the orange on her torso and legs looks really good, too. It's that, like, perfect splash of color. And then she does have arm printing as well, which really does tie the entire figure together. That orange on top of the black just looks so pretty, and I love this figure all around. Just like Hunter, she does also come with an alternate hairpiece if you take off her helmet. There's how her face print looks, and there she is with that hairpiece. Personally, I feel like this is not the best hairpiece for her. I don't know, it's a really good hairpiece, but doesn't really represent the hair she has in the show. At least Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. I'm not sure if this hair is any more accurate to Bad Batch. But hair aside, that face print is really good. I love the expression on it. And there's her alternate face where she just has a more neutral smile. I never like when they give them two smiling faces. I kind of wish she had one smiling and one angry. But at least these faces are slightly different. And I'll take two similar faces over no alternate face at all. And then in terms of accessories, she comes with a suitcase and then a small blaster. And then Cad Bane is all new and exclusive to the set, and I think this figure is fairly solid. I know he's another one just like Omega people have been wanting, and it's cool to see him in the normal LEGO style and not the Clone Wars style like we've gotten him in before, and I think his overall design's pretty good. The torso legs feel quite subtle with the dark brown being used, but the silver printing on top of it does look really good, and I like the ammo belt and everything that he has. Then, like, what, this breathing tank that he has that connects around his back, that's an all-new piece that's actually rubber, not hard plastic. Rubber pieces are always a little bit disappointing, hard plastic pieces are much better, but it's decent enough, and I like the way it connects to his face and everything. The face print itself is pretty good. It's on a gunmetal gray head, which is a kind of surprising color to choose, and with a color this dark, I'd be worried that the face wasn't printed dark enough, but no, the face is pretty vibrant, actually, so I think it works pretty well. And then this hat piece, personally, I've never seen it before. It's not like the standard Indiana Jones hat, so it may be all new for this set, but if I'm wrong about that, let me know in the comments. Regardless, though, it is a really good hat piece. And then turning him around, there's like his back torso print in the back of that air tank. And there it is with the air tank removed. No back face print, of course, because that would show through the back of the head. But yeah, overall, once again, two pretty solid figures. One new, one not, but both very detailed and very good representations of the characters they're meant to represent. And finally, while not technically a minifigure, we have Todo in this set. He's a little droid and he's very goofy looking. I find it really interesting the way they did like his big stomach. I looked at pictures of him and it looks like it's pretty accurate, but I don't know, just like the way he's angled back and everything does make him look very funny. I think he is cute though, and this is a good translation of him into LEGO form, and it's nice to get something like this in the set. Makes the entire figure selection feel a little bit more special. But I don't have a ton to say on him. Just a cool new Star Wars droid to get, and I'm happy to have him. So, what are my overall thoughts on this set? I think this set is just okay. It has a lot of strong points and a few weak points. The biggest weak point of this set though is for sure the price. Unlike the ATTE where I built that one and I was like, okay, it's still overpriced, but I can kind of see why it's priced the way it is. With this one, $170 still feels super overpriced. The build is very big, don't get me wrong, but it's like $120, $140 maybe big, not $170 big. Additionally, with a great figure selection, they could make up for the lack of build, but the figure selection here is very bare bones. Yes, you get the all-new Omega and Cad Bane, but then you get two reused figures and a new droid. And I'm gonna be honest, only 4 minifigures in a $170 set is really lame, especially when 2 of them are reused. Even if they just gave us the entire Bad Batch again in this set, that would have been something to maybe help justify the price a little bit. But the build doesn't feel big enough to justify the price, the figure selection doesn't feel good enough to justify the price, so in my opinion, this is one of the most poorly priced sets of this year. So unless you find it on clearance, I can't say I recommend it. Price aside though, the build is good, but I don't know, I think there could be more. The interior does feel very small for the size of this set, and while the transformation feature is cool, it does take away from the looks of the set a little bit, and I wish that was hidden away a little bit better, because I don't know, it's kind of stuck between wanting to be a model and wanting to be a toy, but at the price you're paying, I think it should be able to be both. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think of this set in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please press like, subscribe to the channel if you're new. I do LEGO videos just like this one almost every day, so if you subscribe, you'll be the first to see them. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!